Alright guys, I'm just gonna do a very quick intro into how to install ESXi. I know it seems a little bit of a different beast, but believe me, it's exactly the same thing how you would install um, um, any other operating system, be it XP, Windows 7, 8, or Server 2000 flavors. So I'm just going to leave this machine on, so I'm just going to show you real quick. So you go into your workstation, new virtual machine. Now you can do a custom or typical. I usually just do custom, and just go in there. For ease, you can pick up the VMware right away, but since we have always learned to do it the other way, like to pick up the IS at the end, so we'll just go follow that method. So operating system later, you're gonna pick up the VMware. Usually we pick up the Microsoft, and then we pick up when we select one of the options from here. We're just gonna do VMware ESXi. There are only two flavors right now on the workstation. I'm using Workstation 11, by the way. The vSphere beta would be the 6.0 version. That's not what we're gonna use. We're gonna choose or we select ESXi 5. Press next. I personally like to put them into its folders, but this one over here automatically creates it. For the vdisk, we'll create that. So we'll just call this installation, let's say ESXi dash 55. Okay, so I know which version it is, and then I'm gonna give it these specs, 4 GB that we were supposed to pick up. For now, I'm just gonna pick up the NAT and go forward with that. And you can create new virtual disk. Obviously, that's what we're creating. So, and then store whatever. I'm just gonna go with the 40 GB and split it into multiple ones. Now, this is what I like to do. Is I always like to go ahead and give this guy its own folder instead of actually having everything in one. So again, it's personal preference. I just like to get it organized or have it organized that way. Okay. So ESXi dash 5, right? Right. There you go. Press next, and then if you wanna do any final customization, you can do it over here, and then finish. Okay. Now, what ISO do we pick? So we just come here, and then you pick the ISO that you'd like. So right now we're going with the ESXi hypervisor. So let me just get to my ISO. Right. So this one's the one that we received, which was corrupt. So I'm just gonna go to my old ones. Where are they? Okay, I guess I have to bring. I have to install it in here. No, hold on a second. Alright, so that is actually the file that I sent you. So forget about this one. This one was sent to us. Forget about this one as well. So right now we're going to concentrate on the installation of the ESXi. As the name of that file has that word VMvisor, so that's a hypervisor file. Okay, so you just go along and then press OK, and then you boot up. This is going to take a little while. If this pops up for you, don't worry about it. Just press yes. I have that setting, so that's the reason why. And don't worry about this as well. Okay, and just press next. Now this is going to take probably 5-10 minutes, and it's going to load up. It may potentially end up with an error, but don't worry about it. We'll touch base on that in a few minutes. So it's just a quick install. Now again, keep in mind that ESXi is the hypervisor, and then vSphere is an application that we use just like how we would use Hyper-V Manager to manage the VMs in a Microsoft environment. And here we're going to use the vSphere, and for the vSphere It's basically a small application. It's a client that will connect to this particular server, because ESXi, keep in mind, is just a server that where you're gonna host your VMs and your data store. You'll have your ISOs and other files located in your data store. So then uh, vSphere only connects to one ESXi host at a time. To manage multiple hosts, if you have 4 or 5 different ESXi servers running, then you would use vCenter. So again, we'll touch base on that in the vCenter one. Now, to install the vSphere, please watch the vSphere video. That will help you install the vSphere, and it gives you a quick introduction as well in terms of the different tabs and the configurations. I'm just going to pause it, and I'm going to come back once it's done. So okay, so it's done almost. I would say 80%. Now you're just gonna go ahead and click into the VM, and keep in mind the VM tools are not installed as of yet. And you're just gonna go enter and press F11 to accept the agreement. Now this is gonna scan for available devices. What it is doing is it's scanning for I believe the disk. Yeah, so it's actually scanning. So it found a VMware 40 GB disk that we had assigned to it, and you just press enter to continue. US default. Now this is where you're gonna set up the password. So please keep in mind that you will need this password to connect with the ESXi with this vSphere or the vCenter. So again, please choose a password that you're gonna remember from the Microsoft days. I'm just using the same, the basic one: PASS WRD, W0RD, and an exclamation mark. I mean, you choose whatever password you'd like, right? Obviously. They're a mismatch. So what did I do wrong? All right, so passwords match. Now this is gonna scan and gather more information, which it basically is looking for is the NICs available on your card. Now on your machine. Now on my box I have 3 NICs, but keep in mind I have only 1 connected as of right now. So it will only bring up the one switch that I have hooked on. I have connected. Now this may take a few minutes, so just hang tight. The whole process takes approximately 20 minutes, so if you want to go grab a coffee, that's perfectly fine. Now keep in mind I'm also using a standard disk, right? I mean, I don't have SSD, I have a HDD. So if you do it on an SSD, then it will be a little bit faster. So keep an eye out on Newegg. They actually do have a sale going on right now. So if you guys are interested, by all means, you can pick it up. It's I think it's $215 for a 500 gig for Crucial, which is not bad. Okay, so it's done. As I said, it might give some warning, so that's not an issue. Sorry, this is where you guys are pinging me on WhatsApp. But anyways, it will give you the standard warning. Now keep in mind that you guys all have been using the workstation, so I'm not sure why it keeps on popping this up. I'll have to investigate this into this a little bit further. But for now, just press enter, and it says the installer is configured to install the ESXi on whatever it says there. So just press F11 again for the installation. Now this is going to take another good 10 minutes, so go for that jog if you want. All right, so installation is completed, so we can quickly go ahead and do that. Now, before we go ahead and reboot the machine and go and launch the ESXi server, I would recommend you come back over here. If go into the settings of that VM and use physical drive and then press OK, because you don't want it to reboot and then again go back into the reinstallation mode. So that's what it exactly says. Now you just press enter and this will reboot and reboot into the ESXi host. So, and then what you'll need to do is you can use your own this particular machine itself, the local one that you do, but since it's asked that we'll create an XP virtual machine, and on there we'll just install the vSphere client. Now, do watch the second video in the series to watch the how to install the the vSphere client. I apologize. And it's exactly the same thing that you'll do. You'll go into your another virtual machine, be it XP or Windows 7. Again, the XP is recommended, or at least we are using it in this scenario for the simple reason being it's a quick install, minimal footprint, only 512 MB. And that being said, you could use your local machine as well, but again, as I said, for this particular lab we will build that VM, the XP one, and 512 RAM we can give the minimum, and then download the vSphere client to manage the host. Again, vSphere is nothing more than an application just like a Hyper-V manager to manage this particular vSphere I apologize, ESXi host. Okay. Now, if you have multiple ESXi hosts, now what is an ESXi host? It's basically a server where you will deploy VMs. So to manage multiple ESXi hosts, you will use vCenter. We'll discuss that in another video. So again, I'm just gonna pause the video. It has it's gonna take another, I think, a minute or two until it installs everything. So just give it a few minutes. Okay. Alright folks, so we have successfully installed another ESXi host. So as you can see, this was the first ESXi host that we had installed, and this was 1.93. Now this is another ESXi host, which is again another IP address, which is 127.159. Now this is DHCP. It's not a static IP as of yet. We can go in there and configure that into a static one. We'll discuss that again in depth in the future lessons. Or videos rather, but all you have to do to customize it is as simple as this. You press F2. If you look at the bottom, it says F2 or F12. F12 would shut down the host, and F2 is to customize it. So if we go ahead and press F2, it's going to ask for the password. Now that's the same password that we had used at the time of installation. So once we go in the here's the thing. Once we actually go in inside the ESXi host or the configuration, so you can actually configure your password, but it's already been set, so you can't reconfigure your password, obviously, but you would be able to change it. Now here's the IP address. If we want, we could actually go in there and then give it change the IP address, DNS as well. Okay, we're not going to do that right now. And we can test the management network. Now, what is a management network? It's exactly the same thing like what was that private network, right? The gold network, if you remember. It's for the management communications. It's going to be for the heartbeat, etc. Okay. Now, I said etc. because I will cover more about it later. Network restore options. We can just completely restore the network options. Troubleshooting, if there's any. We can view the system logs, and then the support information about the license. If you can see, it says evaluation and etc. And then, of course, if you're something happens to your ESXi, because in the previous one when I had given it configured a static IP address, I had an issue. It stopped working for me, so I simply go ahead and reset the configuration. Now if you do reset the configuration, it will wipe out your password, so when you have to log back into the ESXi host, keep in mind there is no default password. So you simply press enter, and then you'll have to come back here and then configure your password, and it will just, right now it's asking me for the old password. If you don't have one, if you do reset the system configuration, it will wipe out that old password, and then it will simply ask you to put in your new password. Now keep in mind, if you don't remember your password, you can't really do much about it. You have to have your password first. Alright, so if we go to this particular address, 127.159, this is where, and we'll cover this again in the next video, the vSphere one. But just just for the kicks, if we go in here and let's just go, so 192.168.1279, and I'm 159, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 159. All right, so here we'll just say, it's because we don't have the certificate installed yet, so it's just going to say add exception, and then we can go ahead and get that certificate and confirm the exception. And this is, if you look again, the IP address of the host machine. Okay. Now, if you wanted to download the vSphere client, now look at the bottom over here. You'll see that it's actually it's already available. You're not going out to the internet, so you don't need an account over here. You can simply go ahead and download and install it. And once you do that, it will install over here. Now, again, it's going to be on your local machine. So when you want to install this on another the XP VM, what you're going to do is you're going to simply go ahead and go to this IP address. Okay. Alright, so we'll cover that in the next video, which is install vSphere and an intro. Alright, thanks for listening.